welcome to my channel. My name is Numisa and this is Momming in the City. This is a space where I share content about motherhood as I journey through motherhood, as I discover myself, as I transform and as I become in this journey. I share my own experiences and I share other people's experiences. I also share empowerment content, resources as I discover them and in this journey, because we all know motherhood is a journey of discovering yourself, discovering the world in a different way, discovering how to care for other people. So as I come across empowering content in my journey, I share it on this platform so that you and I can be empowered, so that we can connect and discover our greatest selves and become the greatest parents that our children can experience. So if you are new to the channel, I hope that you find something that you can connect with. I hope you find something that resonates with you, a message that touches you as a mom, and I hope that you can share your own experiences in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can stay and click the notification bell so that you can stay informed as we share these messages. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning back in. I really appreciate connecting and engaging with other moms about this journey, because I don't think motherhood was meant to be a job for one person. It's very much a universal role. So when we connect, when we engage on motherhood, I believe that we do grow and that we discover, we make the weight lighter on ourselves. And that is really the purpose of this platform for me, the purpose of even blogging about motherhood. It's so that we can leverage off each other's experiences as we steer forward and become our greatest selves and the greatest parents that we can be to our children. So speaking of empowering content, today, I'm starting a series of book reviews that I'll be doing on this channel on a regular basis. I haven't decided on the frequency yet because my speed of reading, I haven't determined it yet. You know how it is with kids. You know, I lost my connection with reading when I became a mom. Like, I've always been a reader. My sister introduced me to reading when I was a teenager. We used to read SUV. But I lost my connection with reading when I became a mom because life became so busy and so hectic. And at some point, I mean, my kids, I had 2 kids that were both under 2 years old. So it was very demanding on my time. And I've only recently, about 2 years ago, started really being intentional about going back on the journey of reading, because I know that reading helps a lot with my mental health and it helps me stay informed. It helps me, I get to leverage other people's knowledge through the books that they write. So that's really the motive behind starting the book reviews. It's so that you and I can share books that have helped us in this journey, because really my goal is that we can find ourselves. It's very easy to lose yourself in motherhood, but I believe that we need to do things that will help us not lose ourselves, but to rather discover more about ourselves and go deeper into ourselves, especially because now your life as a mom is no longer just about you. You are living your life, but you are also depositing into, you know, the little people that are under your care. So it becomes very important that we find a way of having a holistic life experience. So the book series is part of that empowerment message that I want to put on the platform. And yeah, so today is my first ever book review ever. So I only ever review books between friends and family. I'm always telling people, get this book, get that book. So, you know, after many suggestions, I just decided, let me bring it to the channel. Let's do the review together. Let me tell you about the book. If you've read the book, you know, let me know what were your thoughts about it, what are your sentiments about it, and let's engage on it. And you know, the book that I'm reviewing today, okay, let me start by telling you which book I'm reviewing today before I ramble. So today I'm reviewing a book by Amanda Dambuza. It's called Baked in Pain. At first, I didn't understand the thought behind saying, you know, baked in pain. But when I read the book and when I went through Amanda's story, I understood why the title Baked in Pain. So I felt this book was very fitting of kicking off this series, because 2020 has been a lot on a lot of us. At work, we were talking about impact of the lockdown with little children on parents. What has it been like? And people were unpacking their experiences. But before we even get to the meatiness of Baked in Pain, and I give you guys a lowdown about the author, an amazing lady. Let me sip on some water. By the way, shout out to Mama's Escape Club for my cup. It's so cute. I love it. Whew, I feel like Amanda needs no introduction. Hey, I feel like saying to you guys, if you want to know Amanda, Google her, okay? Because she's one of those women that are Googleable, if you know what I mean. But yes, the author is Amanda Dambuza. So who is Amanda Dambuza? Amanda is a very, very successful entrepreneur, philanthropist, mentor, motivator, wife, mother. I mean, Amanda sits on multiple boards of companies that are listed in the JSE. Gosh, this lady has got a vineyard overseas that is named after her. So listen, when we speak about South Africa's finest, and when we speak about success, and when I talk about success, I'm not just talking about money, guys. I'm talking about someone who is plowing back into South Africa, empowering women, and just giving of herself and her experiences to those that are willing to receive it, and take the baton and go forward with it. And that is the author of this book, A Bomb of a Lady. But before Amanda was all of these awesome things that I've just listed about her, before Amanda was the very strong and fierce businesswoman that she is today, before all of those things, before she became the very involved mother that she is today, she speaks a lot about her children. You'll see her dancing with the children on her Instagram, and you ask yourself, where does she find the time? Before all of these things, Amanda was baked in pain. She was baked in pain. And I'm literally on every platform that Amanda is on because I learned so much from what she puts out there. She spreads such a positive message for women that are willing, for women that are hungry to become their better selves, hungry to connect with their greatness that is on the inside of them. So she spreads a message that if you are that kind of person that is in pursuit of the greatest you, she's got nuggets of information and knowledge that you can definitely get from her. So that's how I stumbled upon Amanda's book. She was speaking about it in one of her Instagram lives, and I was like, okay, let me get the book. And when I got the book, I asked myself, because what you see out there is not, you don't see pain when you see Amanda, okay? You see, goals, okay? Girl, when I turn 40, when I'm 40 something, I want to be you, okay? That's what you see out there. You see career goals, you see wife goals, you see success goals, you see women empowerment, you see the glitz and the glamour. You don't see this. So you don't see pain. So when I was questioning the title, I was like, oh wow, I wonder what's inside this book. From the little review that she did touch on, some of the stuff that she speaks about in the book. So when I got the book and I got to read and got to follow Amanda's journey, I related so much. I may not have had the same experiences in my life, but I related with the message. So before Amanda was this big person that she is today, before she was the cover of multiple magazines, Amanda was baked in pain. As a child, Amanda went through a lot of abuse, physical, verbal, emotional. There was abandonment there. There was some sexual abuse. And she really was a little girl that was fighting the world. When you feel like the entire world is against you. So Amanda was that little girl with no one seemingly coming to her rescue, right? And she takes us through the journey of how she went from being that little girl whom the world seemed to just be attacking in very painful and gruesome ways. She takes us through the journey of what it took from her as a girl, the kind of clarity of mind and focus that she had to have for her to tell herself that this may have been the card that I'm dealt, but it's not going to determine my ending. I'm going to determine my ending. Me, Amanda, who has nothing in my hand right now, seemingly, I've got the dream, I've got the vision, and I will get to it. However way that I get to it, I will get to that place. And so Amanda takes us through the journey of how she grew up, abused in rural Transkei, and then she moved to Gauteng. She stayed in a very impoverished township, and how she navigated her way and found herself in vets, and later found herself in project management in one of South Africa's biggest banks, and how she is now a mother. And the reason I felt this book was fitting for me to start this series with was because 2020 has been a lot. I've been like so intentional in having a lot of conversations with people to try and understand what has their experience been. And a lot of people are coming and saying that 2020 has brought a lot of issues to boiling point, you know, and 2020 has introduced a lot of new issues that are very painful in people's lives. And so we are now at the end. We still have hope, and we are fighting through to get to 2021. We are hopeful, we have dreams that we're still holding in our hands. But with that, we are still carrying the pain of what has surfaced because of the effects of COVID-19 and just what has happened to, not even to just our country, but to the world. People have lost their jobs. People have lost loved ones. People have, oh my gosh, people have lost their relationships. Some old mental health issues that some people had thought that they had conquered have now come back to the surface, to resurface, because 2020 has been a lot, right? There's been a lot of pain. I think we can all agree to say that as much as there's a lot of great things that have also happened in 2020, but 2020 is also characterized by a lot of painful experiences for a lot of people. So I felt it's very fitting for us to review a book by someone who was baked in pain, but yet she came out top. She came out, you know, she's the greatest version of herself right now, and she's still pursuing even a greater, you know, in her life. That is Amanda, and yet she was baked in pain, and yet she experienced the most painful thing that you can think of. I was sobbing in some sections of this book. I was sobbing because I could not help but feel the pain of that little girl as she was just trying to fight, and the world seemed like it was just coming against her. Like every effort that you make, it seems like the world wanted to say, no, Amanda, you're not going anywhere, you're gonna stay right here, you know. And she just fought, and in some situations I found myself like really sobbing because of just imagining the kind of pain that she must have been going through, the kind of trauma that she must have been going through. So I feel like when we look at Amanda's story, we can all be encouraged to know that whatever happens to you, it doesn't have to be the end, no matter how painful it is. It does not have to be the end. You have the power to decide what will be your end. And when you stop trying, when you stop fighting, when you give up, that's when you determine your end. But situations that happen to you, that come to you, do not have to be your end. There's always something that you can do. There's always, for as long as you have breath in your lungs, there's something that you can do to change your situation. So 3 things that I appreciate and that I took out of this book for me. Well, I think before I even get to the 3 main things that were takeaways for me in this book, I just want to shine the light on the fact that, you know, Amanda went through these things as a child, but they followed her through adulthood. And she had to figure out how is she going to navigate her way through the traumas, the childhood traumas that she was caring as an adult, as a mother, as a wife. She speaks about how to rise up against some of the trauma that you carry on the inside of you. And the trauma, trauma, what it does, and abuse specifically, what it does, it creates negative scripts in your mind that you carry with you. Sometimes you are not even aware that the reason you react to certain things is because of the scripts that are running in your mind that are not necessarily true, by the way. They are just caused by experiences that you had in your years of development. I've had a lot of scripts that have been running in my mind that I've had to face now as a mom. One of them is the fact that my father worked out on me, and I never realized how damaging that was to me. I never realized how that abandonment by my father was affecting my the decisions that I was making on a day-to-day basis. So I had to go deeper. I had unforgiveness issues. I couldn't forgive. Like, listen, there are people who can't forgive, but I was petty. I'm that chick that's like, you do something to me, I'm gonna be so petty. But you can't be petty as a mom. Are you gonna be petty when your children do something painful? Or do you want to teach them that pettiness is the way to go, or unforgiveness is the way to go? Or do you want to teach them that in life there are things that sometimes people will do things that are painful to you, but when you forgive them, you release that pain and you leave it behind, and that you want to teach them and encourage them to be forgiving people. I had to deal with the effects of that trauma. That's what it did to me. I don't know what your traumas are. I don't know what that means. That's only one of the things, even because as we go through life, we experience things and they affect us in different ways. So what I appreciate here is that Amanda takes us through how exactly she's been dealing with the pain of your parents working out on you. Her mother's still in her life, so there's that ongoing relationship that she needed to figure out. And we all have a lot of relationships that are tricky that we need to figure out. And I believe as moms, when we figure out certain things and we get the answers to those things, our answers become our children's answers. So we have a responsibility to get those answers. So it's very nice when you think that your experiences are the worst experiences ever, to listen to someone that has also gone through some things, some painful things, and has conquered through them, and to listen to how you just want them to say. I feel like it's a situation where they say to you, "Me too, me too. I went through that. I get exactly how you feel, but it wasn't my ending. It doesn't have to be your ending. I didn't own it as my truth. You don't have to own it as your truth." It's always nice. So Amanda does that for us. And the other thing I appreciate is that she puts through some extensive psychological and scientific research about the effects of child abuse on children, and as they grow up and become parents, as they become adults. So she doesn't only rely on her own experiences and how she's journeying through her life with her childhood traumas, having gone through the different forms of abuse that she went through. She also takes professionals with us on the journey, so that they can bring some extensive research that we can rely on. I love scientific based answers, so I really appreciated that she brought some psychology into it, so that you can make sense of certain things in your life. Maybe you will get answers that you didn't even think you needed, because that's what I feel like I got. There were some answers of certain things that I didn't think I needed, but when I read it and I got the clarity, I was like, so that's why certain things are a certain way. It's because that's what those psychology research and expert material, that's what it does. That's what it did for me. It brought a lot of light into a lot of things that I didn't even realize were missing pieces in my puzzle. So to wrap it up, I just want to touch on 3 points that I feel make Amanda's book for me very valuable, very worthy of you like getting yourself a copy and reading it and just taking away what you can take away from it, and let it coach you out of certain situations that you may be trying to deal with on your own. So one, Amanda's message is very clear in this book. She says, you can create the life you want regardless of what you've been through in life. You can be whatever it is that you want to be. You want to be a whole person. You want to feel peace. You can be a whole person that feels peace regardless of who has hurt you in the past. You don't have to carry that hurt with you. You don't have to let it determine your tomorrow or even your next hour. You don't have to. You can find ways of, you can leave it behind actually. You can leave it behind and curate the life that you want. And she's an example of that. She rose from every situation that was meant to break her, and she became the epitome of success that we see today. So that's the one message that I took out from this book, and it was consistent right through to the end, that you can be whatever you want to be despite of what you have been through. The second thing, or the second message for me that I took out from Amanda's message, is that you need to explore and discover some of the childhood traumas that you have been through, as well as the negative scripts that they have formed in your mind. You know, discover those things, discover those traumas, discover those experiences. Go back to those places where you experienced that trauma. Go back in memory. Acknowledge that experience, feel that experience, and let it go and begin a journey of healing. It is possible. And that's the best gift that you can give yourself, to acknowledge that this thing has happened and this is what it did to me. But from this moment onwards, I am deciding on what the trajectory is going to be going forward. So that's the second thing that I took out. And it's also very consistent across the book. As a child, Amanda didn't let whatever abuse she experienced last night to determine her tomorrow. She woke up the following day determined, you know, to pursue the vision and the dream that she had for herself. So sometimes some of the traumas that we've experienced, we allow them to find a home in us. We let them settle and we let them form a part of us. And I think it is such a disadvantage and a dishonoring of ourselves when we allow things that we've been through to cripple us. For you to acknowledge that something painful has happened to you, you don't have to allow it to cripple you. You can acknowledge the wrong, but then decide to move on and not let it determine what's going to happen in your life going forward. That's the second thing, the second message that I took out from this book. And then the third message that I took out from Amanda's book is that do not stay in victim mode for too long. Do not stay in victim mode for too long. You know, that doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge things when you've been victimized, when something has happened to you. You know, when something happens, feel the pain. Acknowledge that something has happened that has made you feel tremendous pain. Feel that pain. You know, go through it, go deep in it, dive deep and feel it. But don't stay there. Don't stay in that valley of pain. Begin the process of rising up as soon as you can. Program your mind to learn that you don't have to stay forever and get married to the pain. You don't have to. Acknowledging that something painful has happened doesn't mean that you must own it. You must take it with you everywhere you go. So that's the third thing that, like, Amanda, the message that Amanda was putting forward in the book is that you don't have to stay with the pain forever. Things happen to you, but you need to learn to develop a process of release in yourself. Release things and find a way, navigate your way outside of those situations. And I think to like close off this review, I want to read an excerpt from Amanda's book. Like right at the end, there's a passage that I want to read that I feel is a nice summary of everything that she was saying in her book. So this is right at the end. In the conclusion, Amanda says, I made the decision to own my life. not point fingers, even with plenty of opportunity. I have never acted as if I were a victim. I recognized that I have been dealt a rotten card, and it was my responsibility to work with that card and make sure that the outcome was what I desired. So I love that even though she was baked in pain and she experienced pain from a very young age, and some of it persisted through to adulthood, she still took control in the end, and she said, you know what, it's my life. I call the shots regardless of what I've experienced. And when we do that, now bringing it back to motherhood, bringing it back to our journey in motherhood, this journey is full of ups and downs. It's full of bumps and listen, it's full of joy at the same time, but it's also full of a lot of unexpected curves and sharp turns. And so I hope that you find strength in knowing that whatever happens along this journey, you can take control and you can take charge and say, a certain card has been dealt to me and it's rotten. I've been dealt this rotten card, but I'm taking control and I'm going to be the kind of mother that I decide to be to my children. And so I'm going to go on this healing journey. I'll see a psychologist if I have to. I'll go to church if I have to. I'll go to, I don't know, a monk if I have to. I'll cry if I have to. I'll cry the whole night if I have to. I'll do whatever it is that I need to do to heal and to be whole, and so that I can be empowered to take control of my life and take control of the outcome of my life, so that I can have a positive contribution to the well-being of my children. So that's it for my first review, guys. I hope that you found the message very helpful. I hope that it touched you in a way that helps you in your journey in navigating, you know, your journey as a mom, as a wife, if you're a wife, as a partner, as a friend, as a daughter. I hope it helps you understand that whatever 2020 has dealt all of us with, you can still come out at the end stronger. For as long as you still have breath in your lungs, you have the final say. That's it. So don't forget to comment and say whatever it is that has come to your mind as we're going through this. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.